welcome you to Long Island for the penultimate event of this, the 50th season of PBA action. It is the Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic, the last stop before next week's major, the 66th edition of the U.S. Open. And today's field of five is loaded with storylines. Hard-throwing Robert Smith is back from an injury that almost forced him out of the sport. Number 4 seed Richie Allen has the best childhood nickname. We'll tell you about it later. 27-year-old Bill O'Neill having a career season, just one thing missing, and that is his first career title. The two-hand wonder from down under, Jason Belmonte, and his unorthodox shot sits in the number 2 seed spot, and your top seed, local boy made good, Long Island native Michael Fagan is the top seed for the first time in a singles event. And glad you're with us from West Babylon, New York. I'm Rob Stone. The PBA has generated a copious amount of national attention this year, from the plastic ball debate to who is the #1 bowler all-time in PBA history to Wes Malotte's run at Player of the Year. But no story has gained as much national traction as that of someone who's making just his first PBA television show today. Jason Belmonte from Australia is a bowler with the hook. His two-handed style has caught the attention of everyone from the Wall Street Journal to the LA Times to ESPN's E60 show, and they're actually editing a profile of Jason and his style as we speak. He is our number 2 seed today, and we are going to have plenty more on Jason throughout our broadcast, but 13-time titleist Randy Peterson slides in right now. We talk about our number 1 seed, and we said, local boy makes good. Boy, is that appropriate for Michael Fagan. There may be no bowling center that he's bowled in more than this one right here. Heck, this guy even used to work in the pro shop back there.
He's got a lot of great mojo coming into this week. 3 out of 5 telecasts the last 5 weeks. Nobody knows this bowling center better than Michael Fagan. Like you said, Rob, he used to work here. He's had a lot of great success the last couple of years in this bowling center. And you know what, Rob? I think today he's poised to win his first career singles title in front of family and friends.
And they're tricky lanes here, and with his experience, it has been a huge benefit for him all week long. We take a look at our step-later brackets, and we begin with our 5 versus 4 matchup. Maximum Bob, Robert Smith taking on Richie Allen, the winner to face 3 seed Bill O'Neill. And Richie Allen, your 4 seed. Will kick things off for us. Bowlers having to deal with some challenging lane conditions on top of the fact that it's 2 separate oil patterns. On the right is the Viper, on the left the Shark. There's Richie Allen, 2 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour titles on his resume. This is his 9th top 20 finish of the season for the Columbia, South Carolina native. And goes heavy with his first effort.
Richie Allen is one of the more colorful players out on tour. Very, very interesting guy. And when you talk to his roommate, Robert Smith, who he's bowling in his first match, Robert says, you know, if you want to drive him crazy, just try to get him to act normal.
That's great. I really like spending time talking with Richie Allen. Talked to his mom today. And had a great conversation. But that frame right there sums up Richie Allen this week. He never really got himself in trouble. He took care of all of his spares. It wasn't the prettiest, but it was kind of grinded out bowling. And you get the sense that a lot of the guys really kind of had to do that this week here. So Allen takes a seat, and Robert Smith, 35-year-old, who now lives just outside of Columbus, Ohio, steps up. 7 tour titles, one of them a major. He won the 2000 U.S. Open. And Smith battling a series of injuries. Here is what has been the cure for what's been ailing him physically.
Basically what I got diagnosed with finally was fibromyalgia. The treatment I've been getting, I've been seeing this guy Al Milas down in Tampa area. He deals with this specifically. Went down there for one treatment back in December when everybody was bowling in Baltimore, and I had to take that tournament off again due to it, and I haven't had a pain since that day. It's kind of been a blessing, and looking forward to actually going back out and actually being able to pay attention to bowling instead of just getting out of the chair.
Told me yesterday this is the most optimistic he's been about his bowling career in the last 4 to 5 years. I mean, there are times where he was just staggering through shows, just trying to, just pick up a ball, just be able to walk normal. We'll talk more about that in just a second here, but we step aside here for Richie Allen, his effort in the second.
Getting loose, getting loose.
Richie had a great quote last night when we interviewed him. He said, I've got the highest backswing on the show with the lowest rev rate on the show. Because today's show is all about power. We've got a plethora of power players, Rob.
Nice word. Oh, no. Oh, and fortunate to pick up that spare, and the smile says it all. And here's the story of Richie Allen's nickname, the best ever.
That's sweet. My middle name is Hamilton. You can tell the first part of that already is Ham. My mom and her dad, you know, my grandparents on her side of the family used to call me Hambone growing up. So as bad as it is, I know.
What's bad about that? You want your nickname to be four-bagger? Right? Hambone rolls a lot better than four-bagger for a nickname.
This guy's got a lot in common.
That may be all we have in common. There you go, Richie, his first strike, and he got that Hambone nickname about the age of 3. I talked to his mom, Marianne, today just to confirm, because, you know, some of the stuff Richie says to you, you're not sure if it's, you know, on the up and up at times. So we had to go to the source. And Marianne picked up the phone, talked to her, but what I picked up about the conversation from Marianne is, you know, it's Richie, and it's obvious, but we never think about it. She called him Richard in our conversation. Now, that is one guy that does not look like a Richard right now.
Don't call him Richard.
Mm-mm. There's Robert Smith looking for 3 in a row. Whoa. Fortuitous strike in the third.
Boy, I'll say he was staring at a 210 split and trips both the 2 and the 10 for a 3-bagger, wide with a lot of speed. And Rob was urging that one to get back. That's a huge break, especially in a one-game match.
Well, at least he didn't yank it.
Robert Smith's nickname, Maximum Bob. This guy's rev rate is up there with all of them except Jason Belmonte.
Come on. Yes.
Maximum Bob with the maximum Hambone. The conclusion of match number 1 when we return.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by H&R Block, the official tax services provider of the PBA. H&R Block, you've got people. By Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free video. What will you discover? Go RVing. By Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save 15% on your car insurance. Visit Geico.com.
We welcome you back to Long Island, and time now for the Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood 2 oil patterns this week, Randy.
Shark on the left lane at 44 feet, the longest pattern we use out here. Viper on the right lane, 38 feet in length. The players on the left lane are going to play in. On the right lane, the Viper pattern is going to break down. The players are going to be able to wheel it right on that lane. I look for the most strikes coming on the Viper pattern.
While we stepped away, Richie Allen threw a spare and then back-to-back strikes, so he is now down 29. You see Robert Smith's perfect game ended with a 7 spare in the 6th. And Allen's starting to claw his way back in here with the 3-bagger.
Yeah, and that's a huge strike in the 7th frame because he cuts Robert Smith's lead to 19. You got to make your opponent feel like you still have a chance and put some pressure on that opponent. Robert Smith started with the front 5, 7 spare through 6.
I like that one.
And Rob, we saw that graphic, what Robert Smith did in possession round. He actually beat Chris Barnes and then leapfrogged a couple of players, including
Pete Weber and Ryan Schaefer.
Including Ryan Schaefer, knocked Ryan Schaefer out of the show by 4 pins. And what a huge week this was for Robert in terms of making the show and the points that he earned. He was on, or very close to the cut line. He was in 35th coming into this week with only one more tournament remaining, and that's next week's U.S. Open.
We're going to talk more about that cut line a little bit later in the broadcast. Some really good people, some intriguing names on the outside looking in right now with 1 week left. Looking at my statistician, Mike Edwards, and pointing at him. He is one of those people we're cheering for to have a good week next week.
Robert Smith, at 35 years of age, is actually the old man on this telecast.
Frightening, huh?
Boy, when it wants to go, that's it. It goes.
I'll tell you what's frightening is I remember when this kid first came out on tour. You want to talk about old man on the show? I think that would mean me.
You want to know what's frightening? Is the fan that has the old mugshot of you from your playing days on one of those cards. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
No, we might get our crew to try and hunt that down. It's not up right now, but it's good. It's good theater, my friend.
Good friends.
So Richie Allen, after opening up with 3 spares in the first 4 frames, has strung together 3 consecutive strikes. So Hambone looking for a Hambone. Attaboy, Hambone. Want to remind you, next week we are in New Jersey for the 66th edition of the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. 2-hour coverage beginning next Sunday, 1 Eastern, right here on ESPN. Richie Allen making a bit of a run right now, the week before the U.S. Open. 4 strikes in a row. He now trails by just 7 as we begin the foundation frame 9th.
He can take the lead with another strike right here.
Drops a Yahtzee. After a slow start, Allen has really started to figure out these lanes.
How about this comeback? Now Robert Smith, 9th frame. He can strike out for 255, but no matter what Robert does, he cannot shut out Richie Allen.
Oh, avoids.
I threw that one so flat.
His 6th strike of the match.
Did not get around that one at all.
So this will now be 4 straight spares, assuming he can take care of the 7. And I love the attitude Smith comes out with on his single pin spares. He's not just kind of aiming this ball and hoping it grazes the pin. He's taking it out with bad intentions.
Yeah, that's probably 26 miles an hour. Very fast. Right now, Robert Smith is in big trouble. Richie Allen started slowly, has now strung 5 in a row. Robert Smith started with 5 in a row, has not struck since then. He can now strike out for 244, which would force Richie Allen to get the first strike in the 10th and good count.
Again, these two guys, good friends, they roommate, they room often together on the road. And an interesting note about Robert Smith, new equipment, essentially a new ball that he's only really been rolling with for the last 2 weeks. And Richie Allen saying, I need him to make a ball change, something he's not comfortable with. He's still trying to figure out this equipment. Figured it out well there to open up the 10th. A borderline mandatory strike there for Smith.
We've seen it all season long where guys get up in the 10th frame where it seemed like they didn't have a chance. Throw a couple of strikes in the 10th frame, put a little pressure on their opponent, and end up winning the match. Robert Smith desperately needs a strike here.
Oh, that's got a hook. Oh, it did hook. It did hook.
He has had a couple, pardon me, excuse me, thank you strikes already today.
Yeah, a little oops right here. And you know the old saying, Rob, hit him thin and watch him spin.
I think I coined that phrase. No?
No, that wasn't you.
Somebody decades ago? Hit him thin, watch him spin. I like that. I like that.
You can use that.
No, it's all right. It's yours. Looking to close with a three-bagger is Robert Smith. Pressure back on his opponent, Richie Allen. So 244 is in the books for Smith. Now he sits and watches.
Richie needs a strike here and then 9 on the first ball. He will win and move on. Anything less than a strike on this ball, Robert Smith advances to face Bill O'Neill.
Oh, no.
Gets it!
Did the big guy get a break right there again? Thank you. That was for the lane, dude. Not you, Sabs. Oh, no. Oh, did the big guy get a break right there again?
He's a reality show waiting to happen. Needs 9 here. The second effort in the 10. Gets it!
Whoa.
But just barely.
Whoa.
The smile tells it all, doesn't it?
Boy, if that was a big 4, Richie Allen would have been done.
So grab another ball.
Watch this one. It's going to go high. Trips the big 4 late. Richie Allen will be in the 250s. He will take on Bill Allen in our next match.
So back-to-back
Bill
strikes.
O'Neill, excuse me.
Yep, back-to-back strikes and back-to-back little love from the lanes for Allen.
There's a ball change right there. See if that one stays with Richie in the next game.
And Hambone concludes with a double Hambone to move on to match number 2. So the South Carolina native, Richie Allen, throws down a 2.58. He moves on to take on 3-seed Bill O'Neill. And wait till you hear about O'Neill's accommodations this week. It was a veritable 10-pin slumber party. This is the 3rd consecutive year that the PBA has made it to Strong Islands. There's the birthday girl giving us a wave. We welcome you to ESPN's continuing coverage of the Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you as we get set for match number 2. Richie Allen has just eliminated Robert Smith 258 to 244. So up now, 3-seed Bill O'Neill. And Bill O'Neill having a career year.
Yeah,
missing that one thing.
Absolutely, just missing the one win, but you're right, Rob. He's tied for 2nd in shows with Chris Barnes at 7. And, you know, at some point, he's going to break out, and he is going to win that first title.
And when he breaks out and gets that title, watch out. Missing the head pin is not the way to earn that first title. Fortunate for him, it is in the first frame, but he admits, you know, he has kind of some bugaboos when the lights come on and he's bowled on Sunday and not on Friday.
Well, let me explain to you what he just did there. On Friday night, a lot of the players moved out on the shark pattern because the middle of the lane was just completely fried, and that's exactly what Bill O'Neill tried to do there. I watched him try to do it in practice. Not sure how successful he's going to be at playing the shark pattern on the outside part of the lane when traditionally that pattern plays in.
Allen continues the strike train, make that 9 consecutive strikes dating back to his last match. Asked him about the season. He said it's good and getting better. His stats are up. His averages are up. He's reached just about every goal he's had. And he said, you know, I have a bonus goal out there. Haven't hit it yet. And that's to try and kind of claw his way inside that top 20.
I always felt that Richie Allen is a very, very good bowler, very underrated player. And I always felt that he was a unique player in that he's got a little bit of a loft game. Normally, the only time we're talking about loft is when Mika's on the show.
Come on.
I
Don't
think
fall off it like that.
I think that he's excellent.
Shots, Richard. Come on.
I think he's excellent when the oil patterns get tough and he has to grind on them. But I think he's just a tough kid, a tough competitor, and he's very good at making shots.
Off camera, Bill O'Neill has left his area and is digging through his bowling bag. Allen picks up the spare, so O'Neill saying no time like the present to throw in a potential new ball option. The one he brought is not the one he just picked up.
Yeah, and I think it's just for that left lane, the shark pattern.
O'Neill has now made 7 shows this season, and he's taken some tough pills this year on the tour.
I'm a lot mentally tougher this year than previous years. If I go out and bowl a bad game, it doesn't really affect me as much as it did. I know I can come back, and I know my ability, and I know I can get back and bowl 250 the very next game very easily.
And showing that bounce back ability, open frame in the first, comes back and gets a strike on that right lane, which is the Viper oil pattern. He's now on the left with the shark oil. And gets another strike. I should say shark oil pattern, not shark oil, because that would be inhumane and might get the PBA in trouble.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
I'm going to keep PETA off my back.
There's the huge change that he made. He went to a different ball, and then he moved towards the center part of the lane where, as I said earlier, that's traditionally where you play the shark oil pattern.
Heavy, but gets them all to kick.
Well, there's a little bit of room. You just don't have a decent ball's money.
And again, the Viper pattern on the right lane looks like the more forgiving of the two patterns.
Yes.
The other thing Richie Allen has going for him so far is the pins are cooperating. He's got some nice pin carry early on.
Grab at it, you're fine on this lane.
This is 9th top 20 finish of the season, his 2nd top 10, but 1st in the top 5.
Well, this could have been a 4-9 split easily, but again, the nice break trip in the 4 with a spare. Richie Allen will remain clean through 4 frames. I hesitated to talk over that, waited for the replay because I was waiting for some commentary from Richie. I didn't get it.
More times than not, though, he'll deliver. Richie takes care of the single pin spin. We're 3.5 done with match number 2. And the conclusion of this match, when we return, the winner to face two-handed bowler from Australia, Jason Belmonte. We encourage you to support your sport by heading to PBA.com, where you can order a PBA 50th anniversary commemorative bowling towel. The towels feature the official 50th anniversary logo, and $1 from the sale of each towel will be donated to the Bowling Foundation. And the Bowling Foundation, the charitable arm for all of bowling and a partner in this week's event. For Bill O'Neill, he had been all strikes after that open frame in the 1st until that effort in the 6th. And Richie Allen has gone strike spare, strike spare, strike spare.
And if he goes strike spare the entire game, that would be called a Dutch 200 game, Rob.
I'm writing that down as we speak.
Dutch 200. Used to get a patch for that in juniors.
Really?
Yep.
They got patches for a lot of things, don't they?
Bowling's a great sport, buddy. You know, they give you awards for just about
just showing up.
Well, no, you got
to. Here's a patch for finding the bowling center.
You got to do something. I mean, Bill O'Neill, 18-pin lead, 7th frame, left lane. And I think it was probably a pretty good move to move towards the center of the lane on the shark oil pattern. What do you think, Rob?
If it's a strike, it's a good move, if you ask me.
I mean, that's a good 15 boards or more left of where he tried to throw that very first ball. Remember, he left the washout in the 1st frame.
So Richie Allen trying to continue his quest for a Dutch 200. And it's no longer alive.
Rob, he doesn't want to shoot a Dutch 200.
I understand
because
that.
if he shoots a Dutch 200,
he's not going to win.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate the knowledge that you've handed over to me. Take a look at some of the other finishers this week here in Long Island. Walter A. Williams Jr. at 7, Pete Weber 8, Barnes at 9. Chris Barnes still alive in the Player of the Year race. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the broadcast.
How about Johnny Petraglia? Gets the commissioner's exemption this week and finishes 56th. Johnny's got to be 60 now. Johnny, if you're not 60, I apologize, but I think you're close to 60, Johnny. Johnny's been a dear friend of mine for many, many years, and nice to see him still bowling and still at it. Remember all that good carry I was talking about earlier for Richie Allen?
It's kind of left the house, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's gone. This is called the flat 10, where the 6-pin just kind of lays there dead. Richie was looking for a little help from that pin to come over and kick the 10 out.
I got it way too hard. I just can't wait on it.
And Rob, just to clarify, I've just been informed by our producer that Johnny Petraglia is in fact 62 years old.
Wow. But it looks 60.
But he doesn't look a day over 60. We'll see Johnny next week at the U.S. Open.
Our crack producer, Paul Bronstetter, giving that information. Here's Bill O'Neill, roomed this week with Jason Belmonte and Michael Fagan at Fagan's house.
Oh, no. Get a lot.
We're 1, 2, and 3 seeds all bunking together as O'Neill gets an extremely fortuitous strike in the 8th. We have seen a lot of oh no, oh yeah strikes today. I want to remind you, King of Bowling, powered by AMP Energy, begins Wednesday, April 22nd, 9 Eastern on ESPN2 for a series of consecutive Wednesday nights of PBA action. And that coming your way from Lake Wales, Florida. O'Neill to begin the 9th. Ooh, it weebles and wobbles, but it won't fall down.
Better shot.
Well, 9.5 a spare here. He'll go quietly and wait to see what Richie Allen can do in the 10th frame, but right now Richie Allen needs help from O'Neill.
Not get the help from O'Neill, so it's time for Allen to step up and start dropping some X's.
Bill O'Neill is in the 220s right now. Richie Allen, the best he can shoot, 218.
Get them all.
He needs to get them all and needs an opening.
Look at shot.
Open frame by Bill O'Neill in the 10th.
Just 3 strikes this game for Allen. Update that to 4.
That one right there might have been the best shot I've made all day. You learn how to do that more often. Just keep. No, I have to do it better like that more often.
I love pocking the loogie into the mitts. A little David Ortiz, right, you were talking about. Smack it in there. Rub it in those shoes. Get that grip going.
It's just looking for some traction, my friend.
Back jacks just when he needs them. And Allen not going to make that an easy sit for Bill O'Neill.
You look at the last 2 shots that Richie's thrown. They look to be a bit cleaner off his hand, a little bit less loft, a little bit faster into the lane. And he said, you know, he worked with PBA Hall of Famer Brian Voss on trying to keep that elbow more to the inside part of the bowling ball at release, thus reducing the early turn and a lot of that up hit and loft.
Drops the 3-bagger. He has another effort.
Make some mark at least.
Richie Allen gets tipped early, keeps that head nice and still. And there's that great posture and position and balance at the foul line.
He had only 3 strikes entering the 9th frame. He has 3 in a row since. Looking for 4 straight to close match number 2. Try and turn up the heat just a little bit on O'Neill. And Hambo closes with the Hambo.
Yeah, and really nice way to finish for Richie Allen. Bill O'Neill now needs any kind of mark in the 10th frame. And remember what Bill O'Neill did the last time on the right lane. He went Brooklyn. Winner, chicken dinner.
That is a mature strike.
And that's from all the experience bowling on television this year, or this season rather. But, you know, I may have to correct myself. I think when we're in New York and somebody goes...
It's not a Brooklyn
crossover. Is it a jersey?
I believe it's a jersey.
It's a jersey.
You should have come to me for that. I have all the logo and the nicknames down pat. Anything gimmicky in bowling, I'm your man.
You should have corrected me, my friend. Sorry. I apologize.
I really wasn't listening to you, much like most of the broadcasts, so... I kid because I care. You know that, Randall, my big lug bowling partner. Well, this is encouraging for O'Neill. Getting started with that open frame and now stringing some strikes together. The always audible Richie Allen will be exiting soon. Good to see Richie. Wonderful personality.
And a great week for him. And he's just going to continue to build and keep doing what he's doing because he's on the right path. This Bill O'Neill guy, boy, I'll tell you what, dream season, you're looking at it right there.
237 to 218, so O'Neill moves on to your semifinal match, if you will. And he'll be taking on one of his best friends on the tour, that man, some two-handed thunder from down under. Makes its PBA TV debut. Australian Jason Belmonte is on deck. Plus, Shaq hits the lanes. Kind of.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. By Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7. By CLR. CLR. All kinds of dirty, one kind of clean. And by Etonic, the official footwear of the PBA.
Welcome back to Long Island. Our thanks to Troy Grayson, the executive director of the Bowling Foundation, and the Bowling Foundation, a partner in this week's Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic Tournament, and the Bowling Foundation, essentially the charitable arm of all of bowling. One of the partners that they team up with, the Susan K. Komen for the Cure Foundation. More than $7 million raised by bowling since '01. Special Olympics and Bowlers to Veterans Link since the 40s. The oldest charitable organization has raised more than $35 million. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson back here with you as ESPN continues live coverage. Our second to last PBA event of the year, but coming up right now, your first look in a PBA singles event at the two-handed wonder, Jason Belmonte. Randy has taken off his shirt, not to show his guns or his pipes, his well-built upper body, but to really give us a demonstration on exactly how this works for Jason.
Well, I think one of the biggest misconceptions in our sport is how to create power or hook. You know, old school was you had to lift the bowling ball. Well, Jason Belmonte is proof that there is no lifting. When you watch his form and his style, that two-handed style, he has the wrist fully cupped, the elbow fully cupped, and then this is just going to become a straight line at the bottom of the swing. What I like to try to teach people, or tell people when I'm trying to teach them how to hook it, is think of throwing a yo-yo. You know, the faster you can snap that yo-yo with the wrist down, the more revolutions you put on that yo-yo. Right. And it's the same thing in bowling. Robert Smith does it with his thumb in, where he gets it to the top. Right at the downswing, he gets his elbow bent, his wrist cupped, and then he uncups it on the lane.
Now, Belmonte will put 2 fingers into the ball, but not the thumb. And Jason sitting and waiting. and ready for his singles PBA TV debut, where he'll take on his good friend, Bill O'Neill. O'Neill, the 3 seed, a 237-218 victor over Richie Allen.
And Rob, like we talk about with every first-timer on the show, is how they will be able to handle the pressure that comes with bowling on television for the very first time.
Here we go.
Jason Belmonte actually using a plastic ball on the right lane, on the Viper pattern.
This is his 8th PBA event this season. 5th top 20 finish and his first in the top 5. He had a quick walk away from that one. And is staring down some double wood in his first frame. And a lot of pressure on this guy. By the bowling community, by the PBA, by himself, with all the attention he has received.
Oh, hurry, 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 hurry.
Barely picks up that spare. Hey, good theater. So Belmonte with some wonderful international experience and also realizing just how tough it is out here on the PBA Tour.
It's definitely a lot harder than, not that I didn't think it was going to be hard, but it's incredibly hard out here. These guys are great bowlers. They attack the lane so much differently to how I'm used to. And it's one big learning curve for me. But you know what? I'm riding the roller coaster and I'm having fun.
Here's Belmonte in the second. And is leaving himself with some challenges early on. He did bowl a 300 game this week, the only one rolled this week. That came Thursday. And it was perfect time, he said. He was really in a bit of a jam after the first 7 games, a big hole. He knew he needed a rally with a big set. He started well. And then hit the pair at the right time, and 300 game really kind of spurned him on for the rest of the week. But an open frame for Jason in the second.
Well, make no mistake about it, whether Jason Belmonte wins or loses today, this will not be the last time you see this young man. He is the real deal. When you talk to the players, they all say the same thing. Just an amazing talent. To be able to do what he does, I put it to anyone at home to try to throw the ball not only as fast as he throws it, but with as much accuracy as he throws it.
O'Neill gets another good break.
On TV, brother. One time
Kick
for
all
me.
10.
Let me stay hot for a whole TV show. Come on.
As we take a look at the Denny's PBA Player of the Year points list, Wes Malott comfortably in front. Only one event left, and it's a big one, the U.S. Open next week. Right now, only Norm Duke and Chris Barnes can surpass Wes Malott in the Player of the Year. They must win, A, and B, they need Wes Malott not to make next week's show. Leaves the 10.
Rob, did you mention something when we went to break about Bill O'Neill and Michael Fagan, the tournament leader, and Jason Belmonte all living together this week?
Yeah, all roomed together at Fagan's house this week. In fact, last night they had plans with their wives and fiancés to all go into New York City. The gals had gotten together for a play. The guys are going to meet them out for dinner and fun in Manhattan. But yet all 3 ended up making the show, so they had to cancel their big night out on Broadway.
They didn't invite you or me either,
No.
correct? Yeah.
But that, not so unusual.
Yeah, that's
You and I, that's
seems
kind of
to be a
become the
recurring
norm
theme, huh?
on the tour as we take a look at the Flomax Weekly Update, focusing on Jason Belmonte, the number 2 seed, 14-4 this week in match play. Needed that to kind of get over those nerves and get some good momentum going. That is a pretty looking strike.
again, with a plastic bowling ball on the right lane. You know, when I talk with Jason, I says, you know, what's the difference between bowling here in the States and in bowling internationally. He says, well, you know, in Asia and Europe, I can have a decent week and lead the tournament. Here in the U.S., if I have a decent week, I may make the top 20.
This guy has won all over the globe. Titles in Hong Kong, Guam, Kuwait, Greece, Indonesia, Australia, Sweden, England, and even some in the U.S., some of those megabuck, high roller, eliminator type tournaments he's won.
Just some sick power that he generates with that no-thumb two-handed style. We've seen players throw it with no thumb out here. Mike Miller's a past champion using only his 2 fingers. The only time I've ever seen... The only other time I've ever seen the two-handed style was Osku Palermo from Finland. He actually made the show at the U.S. Open a few years back. But it is quite the phenomenal thing to watch. I've tried it. There's absolutely no way I can generate the same kind of ball speed. It's really amazing.
I was thrown it two-handed last week in Connecticut, but that was more because the one-handed approach certainly was not getting it done for me. Speaking of bowling big time on the hardwood, how about Shaq Fu Daddy dropping his teammates and punching out, what is that, the 8-pin over there?
I think he left a solid 8.
Yeah, and that was a little shout-out to LeBron James. Remember LeBron earlier this year at the Chris Paul Classic in North Carolina? The big man, victorious in the doubles with Jason Couch. O'Neill gets them all to drop.
You really like LeBron, don't you?
I'm an epic fan of LeBron James. Guy is just too cool for school.
He is very cool.
And if I ever met him, I'd be either stone quiet or just trying way too hard to be his friend. Hey, can I get your cell? Can I give you a Twitter update? Gotta get Twitter in somehow this week. That thing's out of control. Belmonte, back-to-back jacks. Here's his effort in the 5th. A longtime member of the Australian national team. Was on Fox and Friends yesterday morning in New York City, bowling in Manhattan. And the plastic ball utilized there on that lane. Why, Randy?
I think he's got too much reaction on that Viper lane, it only being 38 feet in length. And with his rev rate, I think that he was having just overreaction. He goes to the plastic ball and he's just piping it right at the 1-3.
And if he fires it with too much revs, he loses control.
Oh, blackjack.
Well, we've seen a lot of good breaks. A lot of good breaks today. Belmonte with your first ham bone. Congratulations. We fire up the PBA RV and conclude this match when we return. We welcome you back to ESPN's continuing live coverage of the Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic from AMF Babylon Lanes in West Babylon, New York. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson here with you. Randy, did you gas up the RV last night? All right, on the road. Next week, we headed just a little bit southwest of us, North Brunswick, New Jersey, the Brunswick Zone Herald, for the 66th edition of the U.S. Open. 2-hour coverage beginning at 1 Eastern next Sunday. And then April 12th, the PBA Women's Series Showdown presented by USBC comes your way from the Kegel Training Facility in Lake Wales, Florida. 2 one-hour shows presented back-to-back on ESPN from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. Back here in Strong Island, a 9-pin game right now between O'Neill and Belmonte. And here is Bill O'Neill in the 6th. One of the phrases O'Neill used this week to us, Randy, was open mind. You know, I got to keep an open mind this week. Play the lanes different in different blocks. Don't count on one part of the lane to always be there.
Right, and that's because of the experience from the other 6 telecasts that he's been involved in, and it's just a huge learning curve. O'Neill's got the talent physically. Now he's putting it to use mentally.
Looking for a turkey here in the 7th.
It's a good shot, just leaves a weak 10 on a double with a spare here. This match is all even. What? You looked at me funny. What?
I was waiting for you to say, and you're now up to date.
Oh. No, we used that one a couple weeks ago.
So O'Neill picks up the single pin spare. Jason Belmonte, again, we talked about all the media attention he's received this season. And I said, are there guys out there that are jealous of this attention? He said, I think so. It's hard to see it because they won't say it to your face. And, I think there's some people out there who think I'm, quote, the pet of the PBA. But they're a little bit confused in that, yes, he's been given some leeway.
Not that one. That was
He's been given a lot of attention, but that attention is on him, but it's also really for the good of all of those involved with the PBA.
Hey, Rob, why are you trying to start stuff, man? Why are you trying to cause trouble?
I like going in the locker room, stealing some things, placing them in other people's locker rooms.
The bottom line is any and all press that we can get for this sport, it's all for the best, and it benefits all of the players. And if that means bringing in international flavor or a guy like Jason Belmonte to get us in the Wall Street Journal, to get us on Good Morning America, it benefits all an out here.
There's no way it's a bad thing.
Absolutely not.
And I understand how people could be a little jealous of it because as an athlete, a top-level athlete, you're always fighting for yourself. You're a team as well, but this is such a single sport. You want some of that attention for yourself, but what he has done and what the PBA, with their backing, has really added a lot of exposure to this league. But now the pressure is on him to back it up.
Oh, trouble.
That's a troubling strike.
Boy, you see the difference in power there, where Bill O'Neill throws a really good shot, leaves a weak 10. And Jason Belmonte, with a rev rate of about 650, just opens up the rack and throws pins everywhere. Watch this. These pins get slapped silly. With all that speed and all that power and revolutions, there's not a whole lot left standing.
Yeah, that's good bowling shrapnel right there. O'Neill can blow him up with the best of them as well.
Unfortunately for Jason Belmonte, he's taking on a guy who's having a career year, making his 7th telecast. He's got a lot of experience this season under the bright lights of this tour. And if he strikes on this ball, he cannot be shut out in this match.
And if he wins, he'll take on the #1 seed and his best friend, Michael Fagan.
Oh, baby! Yeah, keep quiet.
But O'Neill and Jason Belmonte also becoming fast friends. Again, we mentioned all 3 of those guys, our top 3 seeds, all stayed under one roof this week here in Long Island at Michael Fagan's home.
The week off, they all went to Paris to bowl a tournament, which Michael Fagan ended up winning.
It's like they're BFFs.
Like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect! Perfect!
So, do you think he liked it?
I think he liked that one. And if he caught the ringing 10 in the 7th frame, he'd be in the driver's seat in this match. How about that? You want to talk about talent? Yeah, he can hook it. Yeah, he puts a lot of revs on it. But how about throwing a plastic ball straight up 5, going right at the 1-3 with the high hard one on the right lane?
His highest career finish in the PBA tournament was 10th at the PBA World Championships in Wichita earlier this season. Gets the 10 to kick. On Wednesday, he finished in the 8th and final pro qualifier spot, and that was by 1 pin. Once there, the struggles ensued until that 300 game he rolled Thursday morning.
Yeah, Go ahead.
The only perfect game thrown this week.
Yeah, correct. And once he got on shark pattern, he just lit him up. But right now, 2 more strikes, he'll shoot 246. That will force Bill O'Neill to get all 3 in the 10th to win by 1. So all of a sudden now, forget about all of the publicity and all of that stuff. Right now, he's just bowling on instinct.
And he admitted yesterday all this publicity has affected his bowling. It was cutting into his bowling. In his brain, he was saying, all right, after this, I got to return this call. I got to talk to this reporter. And he said, you know what, this week, I said, I'm going to bowl, and then I'm going to check my voicemail. And a lot has been put on his shoulders publicity-wise. He's handling it very well this week in the Big Apple.
And Rob,
245 for Jason.
Rob, I got to be honest with you. That second shot in the 10th, obviously huge, but I think the fill shot just as big, because I think for a player's psyche, it's much tougher to get up thinking I need all 3 strikes.
Silly boy.
I think it's a huge load, or the load is lessened when you know, hey, I need a double in 9 and I can still win this.
There's the front part of the double.
1 more in 9, or 2 more strikes. Bill O'Neill takes on his good friend and roommate, Michael Fagan, but all he's thinking about right now is 2 more shots just like that.
Again, Bill O'Neill, 0 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour titles. He's gone 78 events without a title. 9th longest streak among current exempt players without winning a title. Oh! And there will be no title today for Bill O'Neill.
Jason Belmonte's going to bowl for the title. Bill O'Neill gets this one in the oil just a little bit. It pushes just a shade long. Big time ring in 10.
And his buddy Jason watching. Happiness and sadness pretty much at the same time. When I asked Jason yesterday, I said, you guys got any side bets going on? He said, no, mate. You know, I don't want to take money from a friend. You know, I don't want money to exchange. And that's the kind of approach he has. Jason Belmonte, some thunder from down under. The 2-hand wonder moves on to the title game to take on his good friend and #1 seed, Michael Fagan. We welcome you back to West Babylon, Long Island, the hometown of Geraldo Rivera. How about that? And our thanks to Mike Saragana, the general manager here at AMF Babylon Lanes, for his hospitality here all week. Just one event remaining for players to earn points in an effort to keep their exemption for next season. John Nolan, Doug Kent, Michael Haugen Jr. are outside the top 40 in points, but are already exempt for next season, so that moves the cut line to 37. Ken Samard just above it, and our good friend Mike Edwards just below it. But points next week at the U.S. Open are essentially 1.5. So a big opportunity for a lot of guys to move up or potentially move down. Time now for our Geico Championship recap, and it's back where it belongs with Randy.
Well, thanks, Rob. You did great last week. Match number 1, Richie Allen takes down Maximum Bob, 258 to 244. Then in match number 2, Richie Allen then takes on Bill O'Neill. Bill O'Neill, open frame in the first, but he rebounds nicely. He takes down Richie Allen, 237 to 218. And in the match you just saw, this match comes down to the 10th frame. Jason Belmonte goes to 245. Bill O'Neill needs that hit, leaves a ring in 10 to lose. Jason Belmonte will now take on Michael Fagan in the title match.
So we are set for our final match from the Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic. Your 1 versus 2 seeds, Belmonte, Fagan, the title match in its entirety when we return to Long Island.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Etonic, the official footwear of the PBA, by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. By Prescription Flomax and by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less.
Rob Stone, Randy Peterson back here with you for the title match of the Bowling Foundation Long Island Classic. Your top 2 seeds meeting Michael Fagan and Jason Belmonte. 2 fast friends. Fagan, the 1 seed, has elected to let Belmonte begin. There's that shot of Randy Peterson in the background. Did you see it right there, the fan?
I'm trying not to see it.
Awesome. Belmonte taking his time. Slow start, fast finish in the semifinals. 245-236 win over Bill O'Neill.
Good start. Good start.
And Rob, Michael Fagan, as your number 1 seed, gets choice of starting position. He chooses to have Jason Belmonte start the match on the left lane, which makes Jason finish the match on the right lane with his plastic ball.
28-year-old Michael Fagan from Patchogue, New York, here on Long Island, has 1 tour title, but it's a doubles.
Hit it. And I think that's the first time today that we've seen a ball not hook on the right lane. Just a little too deep for Michael Fagan, and that ball just finishes way late, leaving the 210.
He was worried about the lane conditions coming in with the high rev rates of Robert Smith and Belmonte and what they would do. Good attempts at trying to pick up the spare of the 10. And we talked to Michael Fagan, he says, hey, you know, this week a little home cooking never hurt. I bowled here forever. He bowled here in junior leagues, in high school, in college, even worked the pro shop here. He would drill balls. He said he was essentially kind of like the lackey. He would have to empty vacuum cleaners, do it all, and here he is, bowling for the title, his first singles. Does get the 10 to kick there, so that's the first good break, but still seeking a good-looking first toss here.
And Michael Fagan has never been a number 1 seed in a singles match. Bowling in front of the hometown crowd adds even more pressure. But you know what, Rob? Quite honestly, pressure is what makes sports fun. I mean, if you don't feel it, man,
don't do it. Nice smooth release. Curls in. Top seeds in step-ladder formats this season are 7 and 4, which is really the best it's been for number 1s in years.
See how this plastic ball in this right lane holds up in this title match for Jason Belmonte, because quite honestly, I'm not sure for him what the adjustment is if for some reason this shot goes away.
Again, a two-handed style from Belmonte.
It's okay, the 10 got out. It's all right.
Left the 8.
Two hands, no thumb, cupped wrist, cupped elbow. And even gets a plastic ball to hit good. That's pretty strong.
Is he worth the hype?
I think he is. First of all, I think he's a great kid. He's got a great personality. I think he's a good person. And I think that I know that he's got the talent. I mean, this guy can flat bowl. There's no other way around it. And what he can do to a bowling ball is just amazing. And in talking with him, well, what do you do when you try to change roll, or when you try to throw it harder, slower, softer, rev it up harder, cut back on the rev rate? He says, Randy, I just do it all by feel. I envision the shot that I'm trying to throw. I look at the pattern that it makes on the lane, and then I just adjust it throughout the approach.
Belmo trying to join that list that we just showed on screen. TPR Titleist leaves the 10-pin. And again, the background to why Belmonte bowls with two hands is
back home in Orange, New South Wales, Australia. His parents owned a bowling center, so he was obviously there at a young age with the bowling balls too heavy for him, so he essentially would just push them down with two hands, and the style continued with him, and so now he puts two fingers in, no hole for the thumb, and releases with two hands.
He's actually now living in Sweden. He was living in France for a while. A little tough for him to get his practice work in. Some friends convinced him to move to Sweden. They've got this big bowling club there. It's the best league environment he's ever bowled in, and he loves it there.
And the question is, what will he do next season? He said short-term goal, bowl 2 great games here and then the U.S. Open, then sit down with the missus. Fagan drops them off. So opening strike for Michael Fagan comes in the 3rd frame. Your number 1 seed defeated Belmonte earlier in match play by 27. He's down 10 as we begin the 4th. Fagan, your number 1 seed, seeking his first ever singles title. I think he's found it.
And we've seen a couple of matches like this afternoon where, you know, players get off to a rocky start, and then all of a sudden they find it and they string five baggers and get right back into the match and win.
So Fagan sits after back-to-back jacks. Belmonte opened up with the strike, since then spare in the 2nd and the 3rd.
To the right.
Belmonte is to win. He'll become the 78th player in PBA history to win his first career title during his first televised appearance. It happened this season already at the USBC Masters when John Nolan won it all. Going back to his discussion about what he's going to do next season, and you know, we talked earlier, you know, the demands of the PBA a little bit tougher than he thought. Having to bowl through so many quality opponents week in and week out. You know, over in Europe, you'll bowl a couple weeks, then you have a big block of time off where you can go back home. Here, it's week in, week out, week in. But he said, you know what, I want to butt heads every week with the best in bowling, and I want them to hit me as well. Competition's stronger here, and I was getting a little complacent bowling overseas.
That's better.
And we bowl a lot more games over here as well, and that was another big difference. Again,
Good shot.
Jason Belmonte's goal is to be over here bowling full-time on this tour. And with a win today, he will earn a 1-year exemption. So a lot on the line for Belmo, a lot on the line for this young man right here who is trying to win his first ever career singles title in front of his hometown.
Inundated with ticket requests was Michael Fagan. Family, friends, you see his wife watching just over his left shoulder. Way wide right.
Oh, Michael.
And Rob, it almost looks like he loses this one at the bottom of the swing. It has nothing on it, going way right. Loses the 1-2-8-10.
There's his wife, Amanda, and her react. She handled it pretty well. Oof. Blew everything around the 10.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It's a pretty good shot at the washout. Wraps the one around the 10. And Michael Fagan had a really great opportunity there to add to the small lead that he had. Now he finds himself trailing by 15.
Down 15 with 2 open frames through 5. Things could be a lot worse. got to say, this is like, I'm sorry to make a soccer reference here, there's like a World Cup qualifier where, like last night, the USA and El Salvador, the U.S. goal was to take that home crowd out of the game early. The home crowd is not a factor here at all for Michael Fagan. Very quiet here in the title match. He's given them very little to really get amped up. A pair of strikes in the third and the fourth. Lead at 15 for Belmonte as you see him put the foot up, roll the ball, and do a little visualization.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the high hard one piped right at the 1-3 again. And it looks like to me on the right lane, if Belmo just keeps it online and doesn't miss right, he's got a pretty good track to the pocket. And it also looks like he's pretty well lined up on the left lane. Again, looking to win for the first time here in the States. Earn a 1-year exemption. Two-handed wonder. Using no thumb, two hands from Australia, Jason Belmonte. They're all staying at Michael Fagan's house, right? Wife Amanda has to do all the cooking, cleaning, and you know what it's like to clean up after 3 professional bowlers?
Why do you assume she's cooking and cleaning?
Because that's what Michael Fagan told us.
Oh, okay.
And you got to think she's kind of tired of all the company after a week.
Can you guys go to New Jersey already?
Carry. Oh, really?
Well, not only did it not carry, that thing duck hooked in the back part of the lane, and he almost left one of the most unusual splits imaginable.
Carry. Oh.
I mean, that was almost a 3-4-10. Now, in bowling talk, Rob, I've never seen that left before.
I was going to say, do we see more of these odd leaves because of his two-handed approach?
And because of the angle that his ball's coming into the pocket or entering the pins at. It's a heck of a spare conversion right there. But, yeah, you know, when you got that much stuff on the ball, as soon as that ball comes out of the end of the pattern, it's going to go sideways. And he gets a little soft with his speed, and, you know, he could go through the nose and get 4.
Belmonte with a clean game, but just 3 strikes and only 1 pair of strikes. So as poorly as Michael Fagan is really bowled through 6, and that includes 2 open frames, 2 spares, 2 strikes, he's only down 23, but time becoming a factor. And he needs some strikes and is just not getting them on these, his home lanes. There are no lanes in the world, in the planet, that he is more comfortable bowling at than these.
Well, and in Michael's defense, keep in mind that this is the first time he's on this pair of lanes, having 3 other matches in front of him and guys with pretty high rev rates beating these patterns up. Now, granted, he does get practice before the start of the title match, but he is not seeing the transition like Jason Belmonte and the other guys at Richie Allen, who actually won a match and then continued on. Bill O'Neill went through the same thing. He bowled 1 game, wins that game, then goes on. And so they're able to stay on top of the transition. Michael Fagan, all he can do is watch it on television off to the side on the practice pair before he gets over here for the title match. And then he's got just a handful of shots to make his decisions as to what ball and where to play on both oil patterns.
Again, he grew up playing here, worked here. He said back in the day, back in the late 90s, after league play on Monday nights, he, a buddy, and Patrick Allen would stay till about 3 or 4 in the morning practicing.
Where are you throwing it?
Got a lot of help from PA. And then to cap off bowling till 3 or 4 in the morning, where would you go? Go to White Castle. So they cap the night, a little White Castle run. A little heartburn in the morning or afternoon if you're eating it that late. It's like the Beastie Boys of the PBA. Staying up late on the island, sucking down some White Castles. Love it.
Nice shot.
So another spare conversion for Fagan. And we want to remind you, 2 hours of live bowling 1 week from today, the 66th edition of the Lumber Liquidators U.S. Open. Our coverage begins at 1 Eastern. Player of the Year on the line. Wes Smollett in the catbird seat right now. Chris Barnes, Norm Duke, the only two who may be able to eclipse him. Belmonte in the 8th. Looks sweet.
Well, no secret on that right lane for Belmo. It's just really hard. Look at that, man. That plastic ball's going down there in a hurry.
It's late for a date.
Speaking of the driver's seat, Belmonte 25-pin lead with only 2 frames. Tall order for Michael Fagan at this juncture. Jason Belmonte firmly in control. And that might just seal the deal right there for Jason Belmonte.
Strike in the foundation frame. His 5th of the match.
Rob, that puts him in the 2 teens, and the best Michael Fagan can shoot is 201. So unless we see some disaster in the 10th frame, which I don't think is going to happen, throwing a plastic ball right at the head pin, I mean, this could be Jason Belmonte's first career win.
On his first televised show. Fagan, your 1 seed. Finish strong, Michael. Belmonte very comfortable right now as we begin the 10th. Fagan seeking that first singles title after nearly climbing the ladder to win the Denny's Dick Weber Open earlier this season. Lost to Norm Duke in the title match there. Also finished 4th in the Geico Plastic Ball Championship 2 weeks ago. He's having a wonderful season. 8th in earnings, 14th in average, 6th in the points race. Wants to try and get himself up into the top 10 so he can be included in the King of Bowling event coming your way in April.
Sorry.
What's he doing there, Randy?
Doesn't like the feel. He's taking a piece of tape out, going to a little rosin. Maybe some more tape. Maybe that one piece of tape was rolling up on him. Sometimes when you put it in, you get the back part of the tape starting to roll up. Just didn't like the feel. Get a little hot air going into that thumb hole, get a nice, secure, snug feel.
Just his 4th strike of this title match and his 2nd pair of strikes. As they say, though, it may be too little, too late. Belmonte, very comfortable sitting back there. Just needs to not implode in the 10th.
Got a chance.
3 in a row. And he's got 1 chance to close with 4.
Boy, that 1 ring and 10 in the 8th frame for Michael Fagan. I know he said he didn't like it, but it was still a ring and 10. It was still in the ballpark. If that shot strikes there, it gives him a better chance. But he just looked frustrated from the onset when he went open frame in the first. Then he comes back with a double, then follows it up with a washout in the 5th. Just never seemed to recover from that mentally. Come on.
And the local boy closes with the 4-bagger. He'll take a seat. And his good friend Jason Belmonte steps up. 201 in the books for Fagan. Nine pins needed for the 2 seed for his first PBA Tour title.
One of your best. That was one of your best. It's one of your best.
9 is good enough. And congratulations to Jason Belmonte, as he has locked up his first career PBA Tour title, beating Michael Fagan here in Long Island. So much hype about the 25-year-old from Australia. So much press between the papers,
Yes!
and television, and a win to back it up.
Oh, how beautiful.
His wife, Kimberly, it's a victory kiss.
You have no idea how good this feels.
.215 to 201. Belmonte brings the crowd to their feet.
Thank you, Long Island! Thank you so much!
And
Thanks,
Randy
Rob.
standing by with the winner.
Thank you, Rob. Jason Belmonte, your first ever career win in the States. Describe the feeling.
Mate, if I could, I would tell you, I'm just so excited and I'm nervous. I'm still shaking. I don't know what's going on.
Now, with a full-time exemption for next season, you're currently living in Sweden. How do you and wife Kimberly prepare for a full-time tour of duty out here in the States next season?
But ask the wife about that one. We're going to find out and see where we're moving. Australia's a pretty nice country, so it's really hard to leave, but I will be here next year for sure. Don't you worry about that.
Talk about your momentum going into the U.S. Open next week.
Well, it's tip-top right now, isn't it? I mean, the thing about the US Open, though, is it doesn't matter how good you think you're bowling, that pattern and that bowling center can just take the wind straight out from you. So I'm going to go in it with a pretty open mind and hopefully bowl half as decent as I did here.
Thanks, Bello. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Belmonte, your titleist next week, the 66th edition of the U.S. Open, live coverage 1 Eastern on ESPN. The two-handed wonder from down under, Jason Belmonte, becomes just the 78th player in PBA history to win his first career title during his first televised appearance. For Randy Peterson and our entire crew, I'm Rob Stone. So long from Long Island. We'll see you next week in New Jersey.